Yo, how's it going? Hope you're having an amazing day. So, today, HOYOVERSE just announced massive changes that will be coming in Genius Invocation TCG. And that is, the characters shown below have their max HP adjusted to 12. So, the reason why this is a big deal is because all of the cards, well, actually not all of the cards, but most of the character cards have their max HP, which is 10. So the fact that decided to buff some of the characters here to 12 HP feels kind of random, especially to Jean and Venti. But for Noelle, Zhongli, Kokomi, Sijuin, and then there's Hu Tao and Ganyu, I feel like it's kind of reasonable. And I think there is a reason why HOYOVERSE decided to buff these characters. So, if you've tuned in to the Genius Invocation TCG meta for the past few months, then you know that stall deck archetype isn't that really strong. Like, there's only a few stall decks out there that I can only name. Number one is Crab. Number two is with Barbara, Kokomi, and with Layla. And I think that's pretty much it. And there are other stall decks that isn't that popular with Ningguang and stuff like that. So the fact that they buffed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters to 12 HP is a pretty huge deal, especially for Noelle and Zhongli. Like, these two are like already strong enough with their shields, right? So we might see a stall comeback, maybe as well with DS Kokomi and Sijuin as well. And yeah, like, I feel like HOYOVERSE really wants to bring back stall into the meta in some way or another. And yeah, buffing characters to 12 HP is something I personally did not expect, nor the community. Like, yeah, also with the Jean as well and Venti, I find this very random. Like, I don't know why HOYOVERSE decided to buff specifically these two. Not even Sucrose, it's Jean and Venti for some reason. What about Raiden, right? What about Nahida as well, like the Archons, right? And there's also with Hu Tao and Ganyu as well. So very interesting changes overall. And yeah, it's just that I feel like, and this is just my opinion, but I feel like HOYOVERSE really wants to bring back stall and slow down aggro decks a little bit, because again, if you've tuned in to the meta stuff in Genius Invocation TCG for the past few months, then you would know, or rather you would notice, that aggro decks are getting more and more powerful by the every time this Genius Invocation TCG gets an update. And yeah, like, hopefully there'll be more characters in the near future who get buffs to 12 HP. Well, you know, you might as well screw it. Like, buff everyone to 12 HP, see what happens, you know? And yeah, I'm honestly can't wait where this will go. It's gonna be very interesting, and there's this one person who I know of will be very happy with these changes. And the stall overall, that, like, their stall meta might be back, boys. Like, oh my goodness, it's gonna be something else. And that's not the only changes that is coming. We have the Electro, Animo, Geo, and Dendro resonances getting some rework. And shoutouts to Summation, by the way, for doing these infographics really nice. And for those who want to tune in for more Genius Invocation TCG stuff, then I highly recommend you to join our Discord server, discord.gg/gitcg. Especially if you're new in Genius Invocation TCG, I highly recommend you check out the Discord server and learn more stuff about this game mode. Alright, so 5.5 balance changes. So this is all the balance changes that we're gonna get for the next version, which is the version 5.5. And besides of getting 8 characters to 12 HP, we're getting some elemental resonances rework. So let's dive into the very first one here, which is the electro resonance. So the old text, which is the current one. So when you play electro resonances, your character without max energy gains 1 energy. So it's pretty much you play discard for 1 cost for 1 electro die, and that your active character will gain 1 energy. It's that simple, right? And with the rework, all right, let's read it. Your current active character and the next character without the max energy gain 1 energy. So it's pretty much a buff, right? Not only your active character will gain 1 energy, but also the next character, the right side of your active character, will also gain 1 energy, which is pretty huge for the decks like Raiden Shogun, Ganyu, and Keqing. So that's gonna be very interesting to see it once again in the next patch. That's gonna be something else. Now, how do I? Now, is this gonna be really impactful though? Kind of a change. Like, is double electro resonance kind of decks are coming back some way to the meta? Not really. Like, electro resonance, I feel, is like one of the most weakest electro, or rather elemental resonances in the game. But now HOYOVERSE decided to buff it, so we'll see how it goes. I mean, I feel like it's still pretty weak, but it's gonna be really good for especially for this deck, like the Raiden Shogun, Ganyu, and Keqing. So it's gonna be very interesting to see. We'll see what happens, and yeah. Alright, now let's move on to the next one, which is the Anemo Resonance. So, the old one, switch to the target character and create 1 Omni. So, the way current Anemo Resonance work is that you play this, you select one of the characters you want to switch with, and it's going to be a fast action, which means you play it, it's still your turn, you fast swap, and then it will convert the 1 Anemo to Omni element, which is kind of nice. And so the new thing here is that when you perform switch character, it is considered a fast action, so pretty much the same thing. It costs 1 elemental dice. But here's the new thing. The next time you trigger a swirl reaction, damage dealt to other characters will receive 1 additional damage. So not only you will get a fast swap, but your swirl damage will also increase damage. So this is a pretty big deal for the double Anemo kind of deck, and I guess it can now pretty much say the reason why there's like, there's Jean and then Venti. I mean, for me it's still weird, like there are still like other Anemo characters out there that can be buffed, like Sucrose for example. I feel like Sucrose would have gone like even more crazy with these changes. Like imagine that, right? Like imagine double Anemo with Jean and Sucrose getting a comeback with Mona as well. Like that would be so crazy, man. Like can you imagine that? But yeah, anyway, so the thing is that there's another change as well, is that when you play this, right? The old one, when you play this, in the old one, you select one of your characters to switch, right? That's how you play this Anemo Resonance. But for this new one, you don't have to. You just play it, and it just works like that. Like, you don't have to pick or anything. Like, it just give you a status. Like, you don't have to swap or anything. Like, you don't have to swap anymore. That's the new thing, right? You can play this and not swap at all. Like, you can use this as like for the second text right here, right? Which, like, it just, you play this and your swirl will increase damage. Like, you don't have to swap. Like, that is just insane. Like, the fact that if two of your characters died and there's only one character left that's alive, and that is your animal character, then you can pretty much play this, and your swirl will deal like an additional damage, which is huge. Like, man, like, this is gonna be like almost way better than cryo resonance in a way. So that's gonna be really huge deal for double Animal Resonance's deck. And yeah, imagine this with Magu Kenki, Dori, and Farzan. Yeah, that's gonna be, oh boy, that's gonna be something else. I cannot wait to see double Animal Resonance deck going back to the meta. It's gonna be a fun time. Oh boy. Alright, moving on to the Geo Resonance. So, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. So, basically, the old Geo Resonance, in order to work this properly, you need to like deal Geo damage in order to get the +3 shield. And not only that, but also you have to get existing combat status shield. Like, it's not the shield that you get from the equipment, right? Or from the bell. Okay, the bell works actually, but not from Tenacity of the Millith or General Ancient Helm. It has to be combat status, right? In order to get the +3 shield. And getting the old Geo Resonance work is kind of very clunky. Actually, if you're not playing stuff like Noelle, Zhongli, and other Geo characters. So now, the new Geo Resonance, it will just provide you 3 shield points to your active character immediately. Like, you play this, and your active character will immediately gain 3 shield points, and that's it. The only bad thing for this new Geo Resonance is that it doesn't stack. So, you cannot like just play double Geo Resonance in the same turn and get like shield point, 6 shield points. Like, that would be crazy. But in the old one, actually, you can. Like, you play Geo Resonance, you skill with Noelle, and then next turn, if you have the dice, like, you can do it again, like Geo Resonance and skill again. It stacks, right? But for the new one, it doesn't. So that's the other side of it. So overall, this is pretty nice, kind of a rework with the Geo Resonance. It's very simple now to get the extra +3 shield points to your active character. It's very, very nice. And yeah, it doesn't stack, but I feel like it doesn't really matter, to be honest. So yeah, overall, good change. I like it. I approve. And yeah, finally, let's move on to the final Elemental Resonance that's getting reworked, and that is the Dendro Resonance. Now, this is gonna be very interesting. So, the old one, right? So, if you have the Quicken, Bloom, or the Burning, their usages will get +1, basically. And your elemental reaction, any elemental reaction, anyway, actually, from either summons or the damage you dealt from your characters, like, the moment you deal elemental reaction, that will deal +2 damage. So that is a pretty big deal, right? Like, especially if you find some way to get Quicken, Dendro Core, and Burning Flame at the same time. and then you play this, like you can get like how many damage? So there's +2, right? And then there's +2 again because you get another extra Dendro Core when you're playing the old version of the Dendro Resonance. And then there's the Quicken as well. So that's like 2 +2, and then +1 from the Quicken. And then there's the Burning Flame as well if you're able to get it. So that's like another +1 worth of damage. So it's like if you're able to get those 3 at the same time, it's like you're playing one die for like an additional +6 damage, which is kind of nuts, right? But in this new version, here we go. So in this new version, if your side has Burning Flame, Dendro Core, or Catalyzing Field, which is the Quicken, then deal 1 Pyro, Hydro, or Electro damage to the opposing active character. The damage triggers even if the status is no longer present when it would deal the damage. So it's like Novia's bullets, except you deal like elemental damage at random. So you play 1 cost, right? Then Dendro Resonance. It will fire off like either 1 Pyro, 1 Hydro, or 1 Electro damage. So it's pretty much very, very random, right? And so what are my thoughts on this? Personally, I think this is kind of okay. In some way, it kind of like it keeps the +2 damage in some way, because again, getting the elemental reactions for Dendro Drax is just really, really good. And the fact that like they buffed it to like it became some sort of elemental Navia bullet is just really something else. And yeah, the only bad side to this is that it's random, which means if you're playing double Dendro Resonance at the same time, it can deal like 2 elements at the same time. Like imagine doing 1 Pyro and then also 1 Pyro as well, or maybe 1 Hydro and another Hydro, and then another Electro and then another Electro. Like that's gonna be very interesting to see. And yeah, it's just Navia's bullets with the RNG of getting elemental damage. That's pretty much it. So that's pretty much all the balance changes that we're gonna get for this upcoming version. And this is actually a big deal for Genius Invocation TCG going forward. So hopefully, there'll be more characters that'll get buffed to 12 HP. Who knows? In the near future, that'll be something else. Actually, I can't wait. And the fact that HOYOVERSE decided to to go for this kind of route, and like instead of buffing and nerfing, the damage and all that stuff, they decided to, let's go for buffing 8 characters to 12 HP and see what happens. At this point, HOYOVERSE is cooking, and I think this is alright. Personally, I think I'm very excited for these changes, honestly. The fact that we're getting these big changes that is coming to Genius Invocation TCG is pretty much exciting for us players out there. So if you're new in Genius Invocation TCG, again, I highly recommend to join our Discord server, discord.gg/GITCG, for more Genius Invocation TCG stuff. And if you don't play Genius Invocation TCG and you're watching this, then you could come back, playing some casual games and see how it feels, with the new elemental resonances and the characters as well getting buffed to 12 HP. Like, it's gonna be a fun time for Genius Invocation TCG for next patch. Well, there you guys have it. So hopefully this will be a short video, and hopefully you guys are excited for these upcoming changes. Let me know in the comments below what are your thoughts on it overall. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, don't forget to leave a like, share the video, comment down below what are your thoughts on this. Is it good? Is it great? Is it something random, or I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. And most importantly, subscribe because I'm doing Genius Invocation TCG content every day for this year. Alright, well, yeah, I can't wait for these changes, man. Like, there's gonna be a lot of cooking for me in these upcoming days. I can't wait, man. So, alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, peace out.